Well, Dre, the news is out. You're an all-star. You've been waiting. How you feel?
Excited. This is really Team LeBron.
5 days ago, Blake Griffin got bought out by the Detroit Pistons, and 2 days ago, we found out that he decided to sign with the Brooklyn Nets over potentially going back to LA and signing with the Lakers to really stick it to Steve Ballmer. So when asked why he decided to do that, Blake Griffin said that they have a need for a four-man, which is pretty much fancy basketball jargon for they have a need for a power forward. I've always had a lot of respect for Steve Nash and all of the guys that they have. Sean Marks has done a great job there. It was a tough decision, and I wanted to be on a team that was contending. Ooh, shots fired at the Lakers. It's not like Anthony Davis is injured on the Lakers and the Lakers could use a four-man themselves, but I digress. You see, what's really interesting about this is I have to tip my hat off to Sean Marks because ever since he's been general manager of the Brooklyn Nets, he's taken a team that has no first-round picks and no future whatsoever, acquired D'Angelo Russell by trying to take on a bad contract in the form of Timofey Mozgov, eventually moving on from the D'Angelo Russell era and signing and trading D'Angelo Russell for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was able to swindle an additional pick from the Golden State Warriors for doing so. And then he built a super team that originally composed of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, who, by the way, at the time were surefire contenders to sign with the New York Knicks, then eventually was able to lure James Harden over, assembled an all-star head coaching staff that features Mike D'Antoni as an assistant head coach and Steve Nash, a nice up-and-coming young head coach that won MVPs under Mike D'Antoni. They have Amari Stoudemire on the coaching staff too. Don't you think that's a little adorable? If you're a basketball fan from the past 15 years, you probably think that's awesome. But we eventually get to the point where they're able to acquire another Mike D'Antoni disciple by trading for James Harden. They're able to reunite James Harden and Kevin Durant with Jeff Green, which I also thought was a little adorable as well. And the main problem they had was they may have been a little bit too top-heavy. You see, they have a fantastic starting five of DeAndre Jordan, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris. But when you get to the bench, things seem a little bit murky at best. And that's where they hope Blake Griffin could help them out. Despite having an injured knee, when you're a six-time All-Star that now has to face off against bench role players, chances are you're at least going to be somewhat productive. But here's the scary thing, guys. The Brooklyn Nets apparently aren't done trying to construct this terrifying roster that they have constructed so far. So before we get to the content, take a moment to slap a like on the like button, subscribe and turn on our notifications. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Last year showed us that you never know what life is going to throw at you, and if you used credit cards to pay for unexpected expenses, it can be overwhelming to manage that debt. So you could take control with Upstart so you know exactly what to expect. Upstart is the fast and easy way to get a personal loan to pay off your debt all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. They do this by finding smarter rates with trusted partners because they assess more than just your credit score. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans from $1,000 to $50,000, and you can get approved the same day and can receive funds as fast as one business day. If debt is taking control of your life, it's time to get a fresh start with Upstart. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/Mike. That's upstart.com/Mike. And don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So, for those of you guys that don't know who Allen Robinson is, he is a football player on the Chicago Bears, and he himself is about to hit free agency as well. Now, the number one player, the top commodity on the buyout market, now that Blake Griffin is officially off of the buyout market, is a player that still technically isn't bought out and isn't technically a free agent, and that's Andre Drummond. You see, Andre Drummond currently plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Lakers. However, he is in a very sticky situation because on one hand, the Cleveland Cavaliers have way too many big men on the roster, players like Jarrett Allen, Larry Nance, Andre Drummond, Kevin Love, who currently is injured as well. So the expectation is that they're going to be moving and trading Andre Drummond by the NBA trade deadline within the next 2 weeks. The problem is, one, Andre Drummond has a huge contract. Two, Andre Drummond's skill set don't really fit the modern NBA. You see, he's averaging 17 points and 14 rebounds per game, and if this was 2005, you could essentially make the argument that Andre Drummond could be the face of a franchise. But alas, this is 2021. And in today's NBA, which is very ISO heavy and based off of spacing, and hopefully the expectation is every single man on the starting five could shoot the three ball, Andre Drummond could be a little bit of a liability, but he could be a very remarkable role player, which is very backwards if you think about it, because he's a great rim protector still and could contribute to a NBA team that is trying to make a run for the NBA championship. Now, yesterday we got a report that the Los Angeles Lakers are looking into Andre Drummond as their top priority, and if they're not able to get Andre Drummond, then they'll probably look into DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins, your plan B. That's kind of sucky if you think about it for DeMarcus Cousins, but what could you do? Now, today we got a very interesting tidbit of information, and typically you'd see this from somebody that is an actual source. This isn't from Woj, this isn't from Champs, this isn't from Brandon B. Scoop Robinson, this isn't from R.A. Abraham even. This is from a wide receiver in the NFL by the name of Allen Robinson II, who said, per sources, Andre Drummond will be signing with the Nets. They get some reinforcement on the defensive end and the glass. Look for them to still be active around the trade deadline, LOL. All right, guys. This could easily be a joke. All right, this could easily be taken as a joke, but here's what you have to know. Andre Drummond and Allen Robinson both have a relationship with each other. Andre Drummond was in Detroit for the first near decade of his career, and Allen Robinson is from Detroit, so these two could potentially have a connection. So does this mean anything necessarily? Absolutely not. If anything, it could be Allen Robinson just trying to stir the pot up a little bit. Nevertheless, it's very interesting because essentially, the Brooklyn Nets could be in a situation where they have a starting five of Andre Drummond, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Joe Harris, Kyrie Irving, and then they're going to have DeAndre Jordan coming off of the bench with Blake Griffin. Isn't that crazy? Yes, I think it is. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think the odds are of this being true? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.